A 2% tax just made billionaires panic. 50 Cent threatened to leave New York, and elites spend millions trying to stop one man, but why? What are they so afraid of? Today's story will shock you. DL Hughley, the veteran comedian and social commentator, didn't hold back after 50 Cent took to Instagram to announce his departure from New York City in response to Zohran Mamdani's election victory. The rapper's post, which seemed to frame his exit as a principled stand against new tax policies, immediately drew attention, not just because of the celebrity drama, but because it highlighted a larger ongoing debate about wealth, responsibility, and civic duty. Hughley, ever the sharp observer of social dynamics, quickly called out what he perceives as a familiar and frustrating pattern: wealthy celebrities loudly complaining about taxes, portraying themselves as victims of governmental overreach, while largely ignoring the fact that they benefit from a system designed to favor them in the first place. According to Hughley, the situation with 50 Cent is emblematic of a broader tension in New York City and in America at large, where immense wealth collides with the daily struggles of ordinary citizens. Mamdani, a political newcomer who ran on a platform emphasizing affordability and fairness, represents an effort to shift the city's priorities back toward the people who make it function: the teachers, nurses, small business owners, delivery drivers, and countless others who have historically borne the brunt of rising rents, stagnant wages, and escalating living costs. By contrast, 50 Cent's reaction frames a modest 2% tax on the wealthiest residents as an existential threat to the city, a claim that Hughley and many others see as hyperbolic and disconnected from reality. Hughley didn't just critique the rapper's response superficially. He dug into the cultural and systemic implications of celebrity wealth in public discourse. We're in a time where billionaires and multimillionaires can project their opinions onto national conversations, Hughley said, and too often it's about protecting their own interests rather than thinking about the communities they claim to be a part of. From Hughley's perspective, 50 Cent's post isn't just a personal grievance. It's a signal of a broader societal issue where the extremely wealthy, who enjoy benefits far beyond those available to the average citizen, frame modest attempts at wealth redistribution as radical or punitive. This dynamic, Hughley suggests, undermines public trust in institutions and distracts from the real work that could be done to improve life for ordinary New Yorkers. The comedian went further, contextualizing the situation within a long history of celebrity departures from New York when policy shifts threaten their financial interests. Hughley pointed out that 50 Cent is hardly the first high-profile figure to leave the city citing affordability or tax concerns. From tech entrepreneurs to hedge fund managers, there is a pattern of elite individuals relocating to states with lower taxes or more favorable financial environments, often framing it as a moral or political stance. Yet, Hughley observes, these moves are fundamentally self-serving. They highlight the tension between individual freedom and civic responsibility, one that Mamdani's campaign directly challenges by proposing policies designed to make the city more equitable without driving away its essential contributors.
Raise $10 billion to pay for our entire economic agenda and start to Trump-proof our city, because we know he'll use federal funding as leverage over this city. And we will do so in two key ways. The first is to match the state's top corporate tax rate to that of New Jersey. We are at 7.25%. They're at 11.5%. Corporations can pay it over there, they can pay it over here. And the beauty of it is that it doesn't just apply to corporations headquartered in New York City. Because when you say this, people will say, well, they're going to go to Florida. Wherever you are headquartered, as long as you do business in the state of New York, you are taxable for that corporate tax. We're talking about corporations that are making millions of dollars, not in revenue, but in profit. And the second is taxing the top 1% of New Yorkers. We're talking about people who make $1 million a year or more, taxing them just by a flat 2% tax increase. And I know if 50 Cent is listening, he's not going to be happy about this. He tends to not like this tax policy, but I want to be very clear. This is about $20,000 a year. It's a rounding error. And all of these things together, they make every New Yorker's life better, including those who are actually...
Beyond the personal jabs, Hughley's critique touched on deeper philosophical questions about wealth, taxation, and societal obligation. It's not just about paying a little extra tax, he said. It's about recognizing that the infrastructure, the services, and the opportunities that allowed you to become who you are didn't exist in a vacuum. People built this city. The system helped you, and now it's asking you to contribute a fraction back. That's hardly radical. By framing the debate in this way, Hughley invites viewers to consider the ethical dimensions of wealth accumulation and the responsibilities that come with privilege, challenging the narrative pushed by celebrities like 50 Cent that any additional contribution is inherently unfair. Hughley also drew attention to the timing and optics of 50 Cent's Instagram post. Coming immediately after Mamdani's win, it read not only as a protest, but as a spectacle designed to capture public attention, feeding into the ongoing culture of outrage and celebrity influence in politics. This is performative, Hughley said bluntly. It's meant to stir up conversation, to rally fans, and to position yourself as the anti-establishment hero, even when what you're opposing is just a small, reasonable adjustment aimed at fairness. In this sense, Hughley framed the rapper's actions as part of a larger phenomenon in which public figures leverage social media to amplify personal grievances into public controversies, often overshadowing the substantive policy debates at play. The comedian then elaborated on Mamdani's agenda, providing a sharp contrast to 50 Cent's theatrics. Mamdani's platform centers on making New York more livable for ordinary people, addressing the city's skyrocketing housing costs, income inequality, and access to essential services. Hughley emphasized that the proposed 2% tax increase on the wealthiest residents is not a punitive measure designed to punish success. It is a modest step toward funding programs that benefit the broader population. The policies aim to keep teachers in the city, maintain public safety, support small businesses, and ensure that long-term residents aren't forced out due to rising costs. This isn't a radical left-wing fantasy, Hughley said. This is about common-sense governance, and it's precisely the kind of policy the city desperately needs. To drive the point home, Hughley contextualized the numbers. He highlighted the scale of wealth concentration in New York, pointing out that even a slight increase in contributions from the top earners could generate substantial revenue for public programs. At the same time, the financial impact on individuals like 50 Cent would be minimal relative to their total assets. We're talking about people who have hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, Hughley said. A 2% tax is a rounding error. But for the city, it can mean the difference between a school that can stay open and one that has to cut programs, between a neighborhood with affordable housing and one that is completely priced out. Hughley didn't shy away from addressing the cultural dimensions either. He pointed out the irony of a celebrity who built his brand and amassed wealth largely in New York complaining about contributing to its upkeep. This is a man who benefited from the city, who grew up here, who owes some part of his success to the very systems and communities he now claims are threatening him, Hughley said. The commentary drew attention to the broader question of legacy and responsibility. If public figures wish to influence and inspire, shouldn't they also be willing to participate in sustaining the systems that allowed them to rise in the first place? The comedian concluded by emphasizing the larger message of Mamdani's election. Hughley argued that the mayor-elect's victory represents a turning point for the city, a chance to prioritize ordinary New Yorkers over the outsized influence of the ultra-wealthy. By contrast, 50 Cent's reaction, while flashy and newsworthy, underscores the disconnect between celebrity wealth and civic responsibility. Hughley framed the debate as a test of values, asking viewers to consider what kind of city they want, one that serves all its residents, or one dominated by the interests of the few. In sum, Hughley's response to 50 Cent's Instagram post was more than just a comedic takedown. It was a detailed critique of celebrity privilege, a defense of progressive tax policy, and a call for ethical engagement in civic life. By highlighting the modesty of Mamdani's proposed tax changes, the responsibility of wealth, and the stakes for ordinary citizens, Hughley painted a vivid contrast between performative outrage and meaningful governance. In doing so, he framed the conversation not as a dispute between a rapper and a mayor-elect, but as a microcosm of a much larger societal debate about fairness, responsibility, and the kind of city New Yorkers want to live in.
You have spoken about these financial plans you have, and you made a point on New York radio, which a lot of people listen to address 50 Cent. And you know he's a critic.
He's a critic
of high taxes.
But let me tell you.
Go ahead, and then we'll play it. Go ahead.
I didn't even know what my salary would be until I opened up Instagram and I saw this thing, which was like 50 Cent offers Mamdani X amount of money.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a very specific amount of money. And I was like, oh my God, that's
Yeah. So now we'll do this in reverse order.
Sorry.
He said, I'll give you $258,000 and a first-class one-way ticket out of New York. That's what you're referencing.
Mamdani built his campaign on a simple idea: make New York more affordable by asking the wealthiest residents to contribute a bit more. And if there's anyone who's made it clear they don't enjoy paying taxes, it's 50 Cent. He moved out of New York long ago, insisting the city had become too pricey, yet he seems unwilling to contribute toward making the place he once called home more accessible for the people still living there. It's ironic. Billionaires routinely receive massive tax breaks worth hundreds of millions, but the moment a politician proposes even modest relief for the middle class, they're suddenly branded radical. After hearing about Mamdani's small 2% tax increase, 50 hopped on Instagram and wrote, "Where did he come from? Whose friend is this? I'm not feeling this plan. I'll give him $258,750 and a first-class one-way ticket out of New York."
Now, by the way, he has moved out of the city.
Yeah.
But he's a classic New Yorker. I'm sure you like some of his songs.
Oh, man. It's actually tough for me in that way.
Yeah, so where does this debate go?
Incredible songs.
Because his argument, and it's fun, but it's also what we hear from certain people. His argument is, there are a lot of people in New York who make a lot of money because they contribute a lot, and you're going after them. What do you say to him tonight?
You know, what I would say to you, 50, if you are indeed watching, or anyone else who's watching this show, is I continue to think that having the top 1% of New York City, who are making more than $1 million a year, having them pay 2% more for an economic agenda that would transform every New Yorker's life, including their own, is something that is worthwhile. And the reason I say including their own is when you see a city like ours that is underfunding its city agencies, that is pulling back on the most basic things like library services and trash cans, everybody feels the knock-on effects of that. And my job as someone who believes deeply in the public sector is to ensure that we're delivering public excellence. And that means every dollar that we raise, I want to be able to prove to you that it's every dollar that's being well spent. That's the relationship there. And I do have to say, even though we have a disagreement on tax policy, every time I get a death threat, I still listen to Many Men.
For context, the $258,750 that 50 mentioned happens to be the mayor's yearly salary. In other words, he was essentially offering to buy out Mamdani just to avoid paying a higher tax rate. When asked about 50's post during an interview, Zohran responded with this.
To choose, which 3 pop songs best emulate your campaign?
Okay. Hate it or love it. Got to put that one in there. Right above it as well. Shout outs Taylor Swift, Only the Young.
That's an excellent lineup.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zohran.
Thank you very much. It's a real pleasure.
50 Cent circled back to the situation with another Instagram post, insisting that although he believed Mamdani had good intentions, the tax plan would scare big money out of New York, and that reducing police funding would send the city into chaos. After Mamdani ultimately won, 50 escalated the drama by posting a picture of a tombstone labeled RIP NYC, complete with a projected death year of 2025. In sharp contrast, Zohran Mamdani continued to express nothing but admiration for 50, even naming some of the rapper's hits among his all-time favorite songs. When an interviewer asked which 3 pop tracks best captured the vibe of his campaign, he smiled and listed Hate It or Love It, right above it, and Taylor Swift's Only the Young, a lineup that earned warm praise and playful back-and-forth thanks from the host. But fans didn't extend that same warmth to 50. The internet lit up with criticism, calling him out for throwing a fit over the possibility of paying slightly higher taxes. Many argued that someone with his wealth could easily help make New York more affordable for the people who still live there, yet he seemed more prepared to abandon his community than contribute a relatively small increase. Comments poured in. One fan said 50 was losing all credibility and respect by crying over and over again, while another accused him of profiting off his own community's demise. And, of course, DL Hughley had plenty more to say about the whole ordeal.
Interested in me, so Mamdani is going to be the new mayor of New York, 34-year-old kid. Like I said, I live in New York, I couldn't vote in that election, but if I could, it would have been the easy choice. But here's what I really don't understand. The man who is actively trying to use hunger to get his political way, saying that people won't have food unless they do his political bidding, is saying that the man who wants to make rent cheaper, public transportation cheaper, and food cheaper is the one who is ruining an America. So the man who wants to starve you to get what he wants thinks that the dude who wants to feed you, house you, and get you, make you able to get around cheaper is the horrible one. That tells you everything you need to know about what we...
DL Hughley has been one of Mamdani's loudest supporters, praising him for inspiring genuine enthusiasm rather than forcing voters into the usual lesser of two evils dilemma. DL congratulated Mamdani on his victory, saying New York finally has someone who truly cares about the city and wants to make life better for the people who live there. In his commentary, DL pointed out how critics tried to paint Mamdani as a dangerous socialist who'd destroy the city, even though New Yorkers have had leaders with far worse track records, racists, fraudsters, and people with deeply questionable pasts who still managed to get elected. Yet suddenly, he noted, one man is treated like a threat simply because of his beliefs, his background, or the faith he practices. DL said he was proud of New Yorkers for choosing someone they believe will actually invest in them. He emphasized how refreshing it is to see voters take a chance on someone new instead of cycling through the same political figures whose priorities often skew more towards serving themselves. He admitted no one knows whether Mamdani will succeed, but the excitement around his win speaks volumes. For once, people are energized not out of fear of what might go wrong, but out of hope for what could finally go right. And he joked, the harder a politician's name is to pronounce, the better they seem to turn out. Meanwhile, millionaires and billionaires have been losing their minds over Mamdani's victory. They poured tens of millions into efforts to stop him, but every attempt fell flat. In the end, money couldn't compete with trust. The public believed in Mamdani, and that trust is ultimately what carried him to a win.
Billionaire bucks that were flowing into the anti-Mamdani campaign. He won pretty handily against Andrew Cuomo, which like 5 minutes ago, the Republican Party was telling us he was unbelievably corrupt and that he should be in prison. And all of a sudden, it was our duty to get the word out, to get people to vote for Cuomo somehow again. Bill Ackman almost personally ran against Mamdani, right? Bill gave $1.75 million. Michael Bloomberg also gave money to a Cuomo-affiliated super PAC. He gave $8.3 million to stop Mamdani, and it didn't matter. The Airbnb co-founder, Joseph Gebbia, gave $3.1 million. It didn't matter. The Tisch family gave $1.2 million. It didn't matter. Still, Mamdani won. Why? Okay, if we're being honest, he probably won during the first mayoral debate.
The first foreign visit by a mayor of New York is always considered significant. Where would you go first?
I would visit the Holy Land.
I would go to Israel.
Yeah, I'd make my 4th trip to Israel, followed by my 5th trip to Ukraine, 2 of our greatest allies.
My first trip to Israel, my wife's life work in this area means a lot to our family, and it could coincide with my young son Miles' bar mitzvah.
I would stay in New York City. My plans are to address New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs and focus on that.
And just yes or no, do you believe in a Jewish state of Israel?
I believe Israel has the right to exist.
Not
as a Jewish state?
No,
as a state with...
Whoopi Goldberg has also been one of the wealthy figures critical of Mayor-elect Mamdani. After his victory, she emphasized the responsibility of voters to hold elected officials accountable. Every term is a fresh start, she said, and it's up to the people to remind leaders of the promises they made and the reasons they were elected. When officials fail to deliver, citizens have the right and the duty to ask, what is happening? I gave you my vote. Beyond Goldberg, a wave of celebrities who publicly supported Mamdani, including Mark Ruffalo, Lupita Nyong'o, Rachel Ziegler, Lauren Hergy, Chelsea Handler, Spike Lee, and Emily Ratajkowski, took to social media to celebrate his win, amplifying excitement around his historic election. Meanwhile, 50 Cent's tax controversies have a long history. Even during the Biden administration, he claimed he was being hit with a 62% tax rate. The reality, however, was far different. Most of 50's income comes from stocks and business investments, allowing him to pay almost no taxes by using his shares as collateral for credit. taxes were a key reason he moved to Texas. In interviews, he expressed frustration with high taxation, saying he didn't want the government taking a large portion of his earnings. He painted a picture of Americans relocating to states like Texas or moving their assets to avoid heavy taxation, citing Silicon Valley as an example. When pressed about Biden's argument that everyone should pay their fair share and that the economy should grow from the bottom and middle out, 50 dismissed it, claiming he simply didn't like New York enough to stay under those conditions. He joked about getting a cowboy hat and moving to Texas, praising the state for its size and its people. 50 Cent is far from the only millionaire resisting Mamdani's rise. Elon Musk publicly endorsed Andrew Cuomo, Mamdani's opponent, despite Cuomo facing multiple sexual assault allegations. These elite figures seem primarily concerned with protecting their financial interests, often at the expense of the public good. Cuomo had previously handed out roughly $1 billion in tax breaks to wealthy elites, which may explain Musk's accusations that Mamdani is a scammer. Accusations Musk cannot substantiate when questioned. In contrast, Mamdani's campaign, centered on making New York more affordable and fair, has provoked fear among the city's wealthiest, but earned the trust and support of everyday voters, securing his historic victory.
That I looked at the other day was mainstream media coverage of you, Trump, a bunch of different public figures, and then
it's like
Mamdani.
96% negative or something crazy.
Yeah. And then Mamdani, which is like 95% positive.
Right. I mean, Mamdani is a charismatic swindler. I mean, you got to hand it to him. Like he can light up a stage, but he has just been a swindler his entire life.
Say Mamdani's a swindler. I know he has a bunch of fake accents that he used to use.
Yeah.
And but what else has he done that makes him a swindler?
Well, I guess if you say if you say to any audience whatever that audience wants to hear, instead of having a consistent message, I would say that is a swindly thing to do. But he is.
Critics of Mamdani have been relentless, with some calling him a swindler, over perceived inconsistencies, or past antics. Yet when questioned on what truly makes someone a swindler, the critique falls flat. The argument often boils down to simply telling people what they want to hear instead of maintaining a consistent message. Even so, Mamdani's charisma and clarity have contrasted sharply with these attacks. When asked about taxing billionaires, Mamdani delivered a pointed response. While elites like Elon Musk pay as little as 3% in taxes, the city's working population struggles to afford basic living costs. Mamdani highlighted a stark reality. Amidst record-breaking wealth and talk of trillionaires, essential workers are being forced to live outside New York and New Jersey, Pennsylvania, or Connecticut simply because they cannot afford the city they keep running. He emphasized that current policies, from SNAP cuts to health insurance reductions, reflect one of the largest wealth transfers in American history, leaving everyday New Yorkers squeezed while the ultra-rich prosper. D.L. Hughley summed up the sentiment. Billionaires are embarrassing themselves by panicking over policies that aim to make New York livable again. The announcement that Lina Khan, former head of the FTC, would join Mamdani's transition team sent the financial elite into a frenzy. Khan's tenure at the FTC was marked by holding tech giants accountable for misusing user data, signaling the end of unchecked monopoly power and backroom deals. The reaction from business leaders in New York was immediate. Emails and texts flooded DL, many expressing shock at the potential impact on mergers and corporate influence. Yet Mamdani's focus remains clear, ensuring the city has full accounting and enforcement of the laws already on the books, from consumer protection to corporate transparency. Meanwhile, 50 Cent continues his pursuit of tax avoidance beyond New York. He is investing $50 million in Shreveport, Louisiana, and recently met with Mayor Tom Arzino and Governor Jeff Landry to discuss legislative proposals that could affect tax benefits for the film industry. Governor Landry has even called a special session on tax reform, which may phase out over 200 sales tax exemptions, including the film credit, prompting speculation on how investors like 50 will navigate the new landscape. While many elites scramble to protect their wealth, Mamdani remains focused on New Yorkers themselves, prioritizing the people who built the city over corporate interests. And if you're tired of watching others ignore New York while Mamdani speaks for its residents, make sure to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments.